So, Jamie Williamson, welcome to Tom's Wheelhouse. How you doing, bud?
Doing real well. Good to see you, Tom.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, the task today is that we're going to go through and we're going to be grading the Pro Tour bikes. Everybody grades the World Tour bikes. Those are the big bikes, the Visma, the UAE, all that stuff. But these are all the lesser known bikes of the teams that are trying to make it in with wild cards. They're the Peloton filler.
Yep.
So,
Or fodder for the Peloton.
yeah, fodder. Yeah, they're the cannon fodder.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're going to go through alphabetically and we're going to grade the bikes. I did do sort of a summation of what I think they would cost. It's ballparky. At the end of it, we're going to do a top three ranking. If you want to add like a best honorable mention or something like that, we can do that. And then, with a theoretical $20,000 of play money, what you would buy.
Quick question. So as we're thinking about this, I think everybody has an opinion on bike style, paint job, colorway, wheels, group, all that stuff, right? But our opinions matter most,
More so, yes.
right? So are we like really shooting for like, is this like the bike that I want to see next to me? Is this the bike I want to ride, or is it all that?
I think it's the bike we want to ride. I always want to feel like I'm riding something better than the person riding next to me.
You know what? That's a good because I think you give me this air of superiority at all times, right? Like you want to have that. I get it.
Why don't at the end we'll also pick the bike that we would want to stick to the Freds that we don't appreciate on bike rides, and we'll pick that one too.
There. Oh, I like that. Let's the Fred aside bike. Let's do that.
That's
That's
right.
good plan. Good plan.
All right, so alphabetically, we're going to get started with, and this team, most of these teams have gone through team names as every year they're, trying to maintain sponsors, get new sponsors. This year, they are Bardiani CSF 7 Sabre. Last year, they were Bardiani CSF Faizan. Where do you think their license is held, Jamie?
It feels like Spain. Just kidding. It's got to be Italy, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a little racist, but yeah, that's right. So it's Bardiani CSF 7 Sabre this year. They are a super Italian team, mostly Italian riders. And the bike, I guess the Italian frame,
yep.
DeRosa, and an Italian equipment, Campagnolo and Campagnolo wheels.
I'm going to give them an A+ for the Campy. You and I both
Oh, yeah.
spent years on record, super record, Athena, chorus. I think I've ridden all of them and I love them all dearly. DeRosa's on the other hand, there's some bikes that you just want to love, but I can't. It's a bike that's sort of like I see the colorway, I see their design. It just screams like 19. And I don't know that they've really changed much of their sort of vibe since then. Like it just feels like it's been kind of coasting a little bit. So this is one that I'd love to see like a real refresh on.
Yeah. It looks like they're resting on their laurels. Like they are just holding on to whatever frame they can to sell to DeRosa fans who need to ride a DeRosa. Personally, I would want to go with something classic, an old school lug steel frame of theirs. But yeah, this doesn't do a whole lot. It's a clean bike, but it doesn't excite me other than the Campy, which, if I hit the Powerball, I'm going to try the new Campy, but still a little on this. Although they did say the other day it's going to trickle down. So
Okay.
maybe there will be a chorus.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I love Campy. So but we should have a whole episode on how Campy is like blown it. Like I want them to be successful, but I feel like they just make a lot of strategic mistakes left and right.
I think peak Campy was around 2011 when we were riding it, and since then they've just lost their way. And this is mostly due to the Campy and the DeRosa name, about a $17,000 bike. If you were to build it up the way the pros do, of course, I don't think on the DeRosa site you have too many budget options. So if you're buying this,
Yeah.
you're virtue signaling for sure.
Yeah.
Next bike, we also have a shared interest in Burgos Berpelet Beache, or BH. Spanish brand. The bike sponsor is one of the title sponsors. They got a very purple and pink kit,
It's
but
actually a good kit. I'm actually not, I don't mind a good, some pop of color there, and I like the fade. It actually feels more modern and new than some of the other kits
yeah,
on the list here.
this one's fade's okay. I feel like for whatever reason lately I'm anti color fade. I don't
Really?
know what it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's subjective.
Yeah.
What thoughts on this BH?
Well, I've owned A few BHs, the G5, the G6, the Speed ROM. It's always going to have a soft spot in my heart. I love this bike. I know that you and I differ on this dramatically in terms of the fork. I don't, what's that called when the fork kind of juts out a little bit? It's almost like gives it shoulders, you know? But I really love this bike. I like the clean, I like the way the head tube kind of integrates back to the top tube. Like, yeah, this one gets me in a good
Yeah.
way.
I'm calling it Camptown Ladies. It's, I don't know what you call it, but, like, it's got almost like a, Rockettes lineup
Yeah,
kit
like it's
out
pulling
thing.
its to do a kick. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. Um,
I realize that my issues with this bike are my nostalgia for the old bikes. Like, at
yeah,
one point a few years ago, because I'd ridden the G4, the G5, G6, and G7, and I loved them all, and I loved the geometry. I was convinced that geometry was doing something for my particular fit. I've kind of grown out of that. But when I went in search of the newest version that was fully integrated, disc brakes and all that, I think that bike lived for about a minute, and then it was the G8, I think, and it left quite a way. And they moved on to this, the Aero. The geometry is very different, and it looks very different. And it's not what I want. I want the G7. I want the G5 in an Aero disc brake, fully integrated cockpit.
you
I
and me both.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I don't know how much of that was in my head or how much, was reality, because I was a lot fitter back then, but I felt more in control of the bike. I felt like it climbed better, and I chalked that up to the geometry. And this one, the geometry, it's fine. It's just so much like everything else.
fine. It's everything just fine, you know.
Yeah.
I yeah.
Everybody's doing the same thing. It's about 9 to 12K based on my estimations from what I see. They're running BH and I think Scope, or not, I'm sorry, they're running Di2, Shimano Di2, and like Scope wheels.
I do need to get an up close look at that seat mast because I think that one for me that's the only thing about this bike that makes me a little bit nervous as to how that interface goes. I love a good seat mast. I think it's one of the cleanest looks that you can get. It's also kind of raises the pain in the ass threshold, especially when you're trying to travel with a bike. It just makes it really, really hard.
It looks like you can get that seat post further down in the frame. So a lot of the new ones, like the Trek and the Elves Falif EXP, that you've got a really minimal distance. You have to cut the seat post, which is better than cutting a seat mast, but it's still kind of obnoxious. Next up, we've got Caja Rural Seguros RGA, another Spanish team, and these guys are running a brand I'm not as familiar with. It's MMR. Um, and I think they're a European brand that's been around for a while, maybe kind of going after the Canyon thing. I don't know much about them, but they're running the Adrenaline and the Adrenaline Aero with Dura Ace and Vision wheels, about 11,500 from the looks of things. And again, my color fade issues come into this one because
Terribly.
yeah,
This
it's
looks like you would see Sean Kelly, riding in like 1984. It's just not good.
yeah,
And I do like my friend Rick has an MMR. He loves it. I don't think it's any relation to the measles, mumps, rubella.
that's right. Yeah.
But it is. I think it's a solid brand in Europe. He's from the Netherlands. I think he picked it up while he was over there. He loves it. He loves his, and it's been a great bike. I don't love this colorway. I think they could have done a lot more. It feels like a little bit lazy to me, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I feel like I would love to, especially the Aero frame. I'd love to see it in different colors.
yeah,
It just, yeah, and the color that it's in, and especially with that partial fade, because it's got a very solid transition on the C tube, and then it's fadey everywhere else. And I don't know, the green and black is starting to look a little dated. That used to be super common, but not so much anymore. So yeah, giving it. We haven't been ranking them, but I'm going to randomly rank this one a 7. I don't know
yeah.
why.
Okay. Yeah.
Next up is Cofidis, and now Cofidis was in the World Tour last year. They got relegated. That was a whole thing. Cofidis is probably one of the most well kitted out teams on this list. Running Look. They're the second and I think last team running Campagnolo with Campagnolo wheels. It's going to be about an $18,000 bike if I had to ballpark it.
Easily.
Yeah.
Come on, like looks are always so one. I feel like the yellow, blue, the red, like this one's like a slightly updated version, but they've been doing that for such a long period of time. I actually like this bike. I like the look of it. Again, I just think the whole thing is just nice and clean, but it is like it could, the paint job on this one could be a little bit better. I feel like I'd love to spend like a good 60, 80 miles out on this bike to see how
Yeah.
I liked it. This one has it piques my curiosity. And I actually like the Cofidis kit, like those big color blocks, I actually think it's a pretty clean and modern looking kit. So I'm going to
I'd
get
like
one.
to see it without the yellow sleeves, but otherwise it is a really good. I like the block kind of layout of things. I feel like Look's another brand that's rested on its laurels, like
Yeah.
been the same for a long time. I do like the Mondrian paint scheme. It's one of my favorite out there, but you got to pay the Look tax to get that.
Yep.
And the other thing is, and I don't put too much stock in this, but Look gets really trashed in a lot of the reviews and the aero testing. And it doesn't matter. I'm doing another video with my friend Matt about the aero testing. And when you really look at the numbers, they're all so close with such a margin of error that they're all effectively the same. But
Yeah.
you can't help but look at like, oh, this one's coming in bottom of the pack of
Yeah.
aero bikes.
Was back in the day when Lance was like, "This is the shit that's gonna kill him," right?
Yeah.
And it's like those tiny little details that get in your head of like, "This makes me just a little bit better, a little bit faster."
Right. Yeah.
This bike blindfolded, now you can't ride a bike blindfolded, but like if you weren't sort of like looking at the frame shape, you might think and feel on this bike, it feels fast, but you look at this from the side profile and you're like, "This could be more aero," right?
Yeah. Yeah. Visually, based on what we kind of now know about what should be aero,
Yeah.
doesn't
It
doesn't
doesn't
look
cut
too good.
that in any way at all.
But it does have a great classic bike look. If
Yeah.
you're thinking classic in terms of like steel frames with level top tubes.
Yeah. Have they moved away from their proprietary crank setup? Have they gone more of the T47?
It is a T47. I don't know if you can still get their cranks, but
No,
their cranks
that
were.
was we've talked about that a bunch. I really struggle whenever companies go crazy, weird, proprietary handlebar cranks, seat posts. It just makes like life after like the second owner, like complete, like if something cracks on the brakes, like your odds of repairing that or finding a replacement sometimes can become really, really challenging. So yeah, I don't know.
I'm running into that now with a customer of mine it's a BH
Yeah.
Cristal and
Uh-huh.
it's a seat post issue. And it looks like, yeah, it's where she's getting a new bike primarily because of the seat post.
Yeah, like, that should never be, right? Your frame cracks, the bottom bracket, something like, sure, but, like, to have your seat post, like, undo the whole thing? Sorry.
Yeah. And yet how many of your bikes have a seat post that's proprietary?
Well, I would say then don't look at the vast majority of the bikes that I'm riding right now, right? Like, I've got a few that have it's a challenge.
The cutthroat's normal, right? The one
Cutthroat's
behind.
normal, yeah, I've got my
Yeah.
Thompson on that baby, yeah,
There you go.
I think that seat is, like, insanely old, but still amazing.
That's great though. You can
Yeah,
use
it ain't
something
broke.
from the 2000s.
And that thing raced like 10 seasons of cyclocross, that seat post, and it's no issues whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Next up, we have Equipo Kern Pharma, another Spanish team. They've gotten a lot of visibility in years past because they've had some riders who've since graduated to Movistar and other teams. But Equipo Kern Pharma, Spanish team running Giant, Dura Ace, and Cadex wheels. I'll go ahead and show my own bias. I don't know what it is. I've never been excited by Giant or any of their bikes. I've always found them a little boring. This one too, although I do like this color scheme, but as far as frames go, it's just kinda, feels
So
road.
as a company, there's a few companies that I just think like basic bitch, right? Giant feels in that category like in a big, big way. Biggest bike manufacturer on the planet. What are we gonna call ourselves? I don't know, Giant. Like it's a little on the nose.
Now
And I've ridden a bunch. I've never found one that like I really love. I actually like the shape of this one, the color scheme on this one. I actually think they actually knocked the paint job on this one for the team like out of the park. But I would have a hard time owning a Giant. Like I would take it for a demo spin. I'd spend like 40, 50 miles on it and just to see how she feels. And I do appreciate the nice flat top tube, kind of more traditional style look. But yeah, I like the look of the frame. I struggle with the brand. Yeah.
next up, we're really into, like, a Spanish theme here. It's alphabetical, but this is the 3rd Spanish team, Euskaltel Euskadi.
Uh-huh.
They're the Basque Country team, and I love the Basque Country because they've always been secessionists. I think every country needs a very strong secessionist movement just to keep the country in check. But their new bike sponsor for this year is Quick Pro, and I've been looking at this brand a lot because their pricing is amazing. All in this thing with Dura Ace, and they're running no limited wheels. Kind of a terrible name, but the wheels you can get from Quick Pro are the Can Win wheels.
Sounds just as good, right?
Yeah, every bit as good. But on their website, this bike, very similar model, is like $6,000, which is, you know,
Yeah.
cheap in comparison.
It's a good looking frame on the whole. I do struggle a little bit with the down tube hump. You know, if you tell me that gives me like 5 extra watts, I will get there in a heartbeat. Does this one take regular water bottles, or is there like a special cage you got to use for this guy?
It is regular bottles and cages. You can't get a tall water bottle on the down tube because of that hump. Yeah. You're right. You're running the short bottles, unless you go Fidlock, which is like the magnetic
Yeah.
twisting thing. Yeah.
So again, like that would be like enough of a pain in my ass that I'd be like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. Cause like if it's not every day you're going out racing, if this were just a race bike, a crit bike, or something you wanted to have for some long races, but sure. But most of us want two tall water bottles out for a 60, 80-mile ride. Otherwise, you're just, not
Yeah.
setting yourself up for great stuff.
This bike is so pro and so cheap. I'm going to deal with the dehydration. I think I'm all in on it. I'm looking for some color matched stubby water bottles, the elite
Uh-huh.
bottles with the collapsible top, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And can we just have a moment about like, some of the Chinese carving naming conventions? Like,
we should. Yeah.
I feel like we need to reach out to whoever's in charge of that and
This
have a real honest conversation. Listen, hey, we support you. We thank you for your service. We so glad you're trying to bring some really interesting, innovative, and new sort of brands into the market. But can you maybe like think about the names because none of it inspires confidence, right? Can win.
Quick Pro almost does, and I guess the name is actually Quick, and then they've got a Quick Pro. So it's like you can, if you get a Quick frame, it's one of their endurance models.
Uh huh.
But the higher end are Quick Pro. That one kind of grew on me, but Canwin is horrible.
Yeah, I think Quick Pro for me that'd be a hard one. I think there's some other more clever things you could do there. So yeah, they should
You could,
invest
you,
just a little bit to a marketing team to figure out how to name this stuff.
yeah, yeah. Well, then my favorite out there is OG Evkin. It's a brand name that like
On.
they
Yeah,
don't care.
yeah,
Or a brand I like and have a frame of is
yeah.
Elves, and they literally,
That's not a bad name.
but it literally means elves, and all of the bike model names are from
Yeah,
Tolkien. Yeah,
yeah. Like I don't hate that.
I don't hate it. I'm confused by it. Like, who
Yeah.
decided that elves and
Somebody was
bikes?
Lord of the Rings nerd who
Yeah,
happened to like spandex and lycra and
yeah.
carbon
Okay,
fiber.
I see the link with the spandex and lycra.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There we go.
I really like the look of this frame, and I think
Yeah,
maybe it's just because I'm cheap when it comes to bikes, and so
back half a lot.
yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
fork is nice and narrow. It's just the down tube is just a little bit much for me.
Yeah,
And
the
I
down
will
tube
say,
hub presents an issue, but
yeah,
yeah.
and I
Yeah,
will
this one
say,
also has the big wide bowed fork legs that
does it? I don't know if I've seen the front view of that one, so
there's
I'll have to check that out.
yeah, I should have added one in there, but
But I don't like orange. When it comes to Euskaltel, like
yeah,
I don't love that.
it's I like that it's unapologetic. There's a lot of it. It's
That
like I don't like orange when it's a touch of orange, but when it's like in your face, just nothing but, I appreciate it. I don't think I wouldn't wear it, run it, but I'm okay with it. Next up, team MBH Bank something something. I don't remember the whole team name. MBH Bank Kolpak Balon, I think. That might be the old team name. But these guys are running the Chinelli Aeroscoop, which is one of my favorite bike names because it's terrible. It sounds like a
yeah.
Baskin Robbins specialty.
Yeah, uh-huh.
It's pretty, yeah, I don't know. They're doing a few different things here, but
Can we talk about the technology on the rear triangle of this bike?
yeah.
Was it technology?
So they've got the bike hole, which started with Trek back
Are you
in.
saying the Aero Scoop has the bike hole?
It's a bifurcated bike hole, so it's
Of course it is. The Aero Scoop has a bifurcated bike hole.
now theirs is very similar to the Sika Spear.
Yeah,
So Trek comes first with theirs, which is just center hole, like jet propulsion kind of thing. Sika, I think, was the first to do this. Like it's like a split chainstay thing. They call it the Wind Eye. But since they released it, I think Windspace, Da Vinci maybe is a brand. Chinelli. A bunch of brands are doing the same thing. So it's becoming like a kind of a common aesthetic on aero bikes. But
Yeah.
now the interesting thing about the Chinelli Aeroscope, Chinelli releases this frame, and I think Chinelli is a brand where somebody bought the name and they're just pumping out frames. They release it. Tour Magazine does an independent test on it, and it does well. It does 5 watts faster than the specialized tarmac. So Chinelli's like, well, cool, we're going to run with that. And so they start saying in their marketing, this is 5 watts faster than a specialized. And then Cycling News, that also does independent testing, said, whoa, 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 we're going to test it. And shame on you for saying that because we think it's slower, which I think was kind of, I don't want to fault Chinelli for doing that. They're not claiming to have any real data. They're just like, these other guys said it, and so we're going to repeat it. So, but
Yeah. It's, if I were gonna buy a fixed gear, in
oh,
like
oh,
the
you
early
gotta get Chinelli.
2000s, I would have totally gone for a Chanelli.
Yeah,
But that's where I feel like they're in my mind. I would have a hard time dropping a lot of cash on that for a road bike. I don't like the rear triangle. The scoop for me makes me want to scoop it out of the way. I'm just not the biggest fan. I do like the front of the bike though. I think their fork transition actually ended up pretty nice. I'm still a little bit puzzled by it feels like a lot of like carbon handlebar manufacturers right now are thinning out their stem and almost like dropping it like down a little bit more for some of us who are, I don't know about you, but the kind of the aging cyclist category who still wants a racier fit. That's sometimes it's like it makes me have to add a bunch of spacers underneath, yet my fit where I need it. And I wish I could just had like more of a level scenario.
yeah. It's yeah. On the bike hole issue here, the thing I see is that these little wind ports or whatever you want to call them look to be channeling wind right at the wheel, where the other versions of this don't seem to be doing it quite as much. So I question if it's I don't know. I mean, it's in an area that's so dirty it probably doesn't do much anyway. So
Yeah, you said dirty.
yeah. Next up is brand new pro team for the year in American Modern Adventure Pro Cycling,
This
straight
is
from the Hincapie brothers.
Yeah, yeah. It was George.
Yeah,
George's getting
George.
back in the game here, huh?
Yeah, George and his brother who helped him with the kits before. And these guys I was watching in the UAE tour today, they have my favorite rider name ever that I just learned, Stefan Debod. I mean, how cool is that name?
It's
Like,
like Zednek Stibar. Stibar,
yeah,
Stibar,
yeah.
Stibar,
I mean, but Debod, I mean, come
Stibar,
on. It's like
Stibar.
that's
Yeah, uh-huh.
perfect. It's he's
Really a great name. So full disclosure, I am a Factor owner. I
that's
have
right.
two of them. I absolutely love these bikes. When I was buying my first one, which was the VAM '02, I think it was in 2021. Still ride it like it's. I just put a new, we just put a new shifter group on it to get the new SRAM on there. But I got to tell you, I still absolutely love this frame. Love this brand. It's been a great bike, and I have the LS. Was in Miami riding. I was down for some work stuff and I took a bike with me down to Miami and I got a couple, like 3 rides in, a couple like really good blisters out to Key Biscayne. And on, I think it was the last day, I got into a group of like 40 or 50 dudes just hammering on the way out. And I hung in for a little bit and there was a dude who was riding the new Factor One. And I was like, that thing is crazy looking. It was the pink Moe colorway. It was super cool. That fork is nuts. It's one of the most dramatic sort of like aero bikes on this whole list here.
What I do like about this bike is that they legitimately did something different because bike
Totally.
manufacturers all have a tendency to throw a bike out and say radical new geometry. And when you look at the geometry chart, it's the same thing. It's just different tube shapes. They have changed it. It's a 76 or 75-degree C tube angle, which is much more like a TT bike. So you're much more forward. The reach is longer to compensate for that. So it is designed for like a pseudo always in the brake time trial setup.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to translate to ownership well, but I like that they took that big of a swing.
Yeah. I do too. And I mean, from the side profile of the bike, it is a dramatic looking frame. And then from the front, it's also a very dramatic looking frame. Even the angle of the fork, like the fork angle is like super steep. And I'm sure that the head tube angle is like, it's sort of kind of comes out in the wash, but it's just a very different bike. This is truly a redesign and like from the ground up. And it looks incredibly aero, right? This looks like it was a wind tunnel, like a plus in the wind tunnel. And I got to say, like, I haven't owned them, but I've got a bunch of friends who have some of the black ink wheels, and they have been really happy with the entirety of those. I've been riding when I built mine up, I put the Zip 303s on there, the Firecrest, which I love, but like I'm probably now kicking myself that I didn't just go ahead and make my life a little bit easier at the time and just buy a complete versus specking everything out. But those wheels look really good, and I do love their kit. Does George's brother, do the kit design for these?
I don't know. I haven't found out, but this is probably my favorite kit of the lineup. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's
got a
clean,
nice it's got
new.
look modern and
It
yeah.
feels fresh. Yeah, So, and they also, is this the only bike they have access to as a team, or do they also have access to some of the other, the VAM, the O2, or the Ostro?
They yeah, they do. So it looks like it's a rider choice. Some are on the one and some are on the Ostro. I'm assuming that if you're a climber, you're going to be on the Ostro, and if you're a sprinter or roller or whatever, you're going to
Yeah.
choose
So is the
the one.
O2 not even in the team lineup anymore? Or are they not doing that right now?
I don't know. I'd have to. I've only seen because the O2 and the Ostro look kind of the same to me. So
Okay. Yeah, the Osprey is is a pretty typical looking aero bike.
yeah.
Not as dramatic as the one. So I'll have to look into that. So
I guess my only thing about this bike is it, for whatever reason, it looks fragile to me. I don't know why. It just looks like it's more exposed and is not going to survive crashes well. Not that any of them are, but
yeah,
there is something about that just pitched forward fork and head tube that looks awkward. But I've heard that it rides amazingly well, so I'd love to try one out.
yeah. I would love to spend a day on that one.
Yeah,
Well, I want to, maybe even a whole weekend just seeing how she feels.
yeah, yeah. All right, so next up, we've got Pinarello Q36.5 Pro Cycling Team. Last year, it was just Q36.5, and they were on Scott bikes. But the owner of the team, I guess, either owns or has an interest in Pinarello, as does Tommy Pitcock, who this is his team. So he wanted to be back on his Pinarellos from Ineos. We've seen this plenty. It's been the Ineos team bike, and before that, it was Team Sky. The Pinarello Dogma is probably the most winningest frame and I mean, considering it's gone through so many different iterations, but the Dogma has been around since like '03, winning Tour de France's and other races for a number of years. I've gotten a little bored with it personally, but I do like this colorway.
I
So
know they've gone through a few iterations. Feels like the last like 8 years, the bike has been, it looks just the same. Every time I've picked one up, I've been like, huh, that feels heavier than I want it to
yeah,
feel. Like, I don't feel like it surprises me. I haven't spent any time on one from a riding perspective, but they do like the whole thing kind of bores me a little bit. Uh,
yeah. I haven't ridden any of the disc brake versions, but I've ridden a lot of the rim brake versions. I own one of the magnesium versions from
oh,
way
that's
back in the
right.
day.
I forgot about that.
I love that bike. But that one has a different story because it was, actually, the last great push for metals before carbon took hold. And quick piece of trivia for you. The Pinarello Dogma Magnesium was the last non-carbon fiber frame to win the Tour de France with an asterisk because it was
Right. Floyd Landis is
yeah.
phone.
Floyd lost his and number 2 was Oscar, not Sevilla.
No, but
One
like
of the Oscars. He won it.
because he ended up getting in the lead as like a kind of a long shot sort of moment here, and he kind of
Yeah.
hung up for a second.
Yeah.
I will kind of get back to the kind of the Pinarello stuff. I will say that like in the Vuelta this year or last year, Tom Pidcock he took that bike
Oh yeah.
to the front of the race, and there was a couple moments where he was the only guy that was even coming close to really sort of putting Jonas under pressure.
Yeah.
So like, you
Now,
know,
well, that was on Scott though.
oh, that was on Scott.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Hey, big
They
cock
lost.
work.
Yeah,
See how you do with the Pinarello. So I
yeah.
thought it was the same. I forgot he was
They
on.
they they switched at the end of the year to Pinarello. He was still on
Okay.
the Scott.
Yeah.
Kudos to the Scott. I don't think they're in the lineup anywhere, but they made it back under NSN is on
Yeah.
Scott.
And this team is like in enough of like the Pro Tour, the big World Tour stuff that like I thought they were a World Tour team actually.
Yeah, they are one of the teams that are gonna look that way because they will be in most, in most of these events. So, like, Caja Rural got an invite to Tour de France, but otherwise, we're not gonna see them in a lot of the races where Pinarello Q36.5 will be. I don't know if they're gonna be in every Grand Tour, but I think they could get in every Grand Tour if they wanted. So, next up is Team Solution Tech Nippo Rally, and they are on Evolve bikes. It's like the Chima Evolve. This is a newer brand I'm not super familiar with. It does look like it's one of the more affordable. I think it's a direct from China brand. Frame set around 2,300. Total bill is a little less than 10, which, again, as crazy as it sounds, is more affordable than a lot of the pro and world tour bikes that are out there. And it does have a lot of versions on offer that normal schmucks like you and me could buy.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
But yeah,
This one, I mean, it's clean. Actually, this is, for a Chinese carbon bike, if that's it's indeed its origin. I have to say, like, Evolve is actually a reasonable name.
I like it. Yeah.
And it's a good colorway. It's simple, it's classic, it's straightforward. In aero land that we're currently in, I could see this bike getting passed over pretty quickly, but this looks like solid, no frills frame.
It looks like a good daily driver. I'm getting kind of Apple Store, almost IKEA vibes from it. So, that kind of
Yeah.
design doesn't excite me as much when it comes to bikes, but it's definitely an aesthetic that works and gets a lot of people far. But yeah, it's clean, but that's kind of where my, like, nothing else really gets me about it. It looks like a lot of bikes.
If I were building up like just I hate to say disposable crit bike,
Yeah.
be a great place to start, you know?
Oh, I'm getting that Quick Pro. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
what's the frame set for a Quick Pro though?
2.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
2, okay.
yeah.
So yeah, so similar.
And they're very close. I don't know which ones come with and which ones you have to add the handlebars on. The handlebars are usually like a couple $100 if it's
Yeah,
not part of it. So
yeah.
it's yeah, right up there.
But for a bike, you're gonna, like, probably crash at least once a
Yeah,
season.
yeah, there you go. It's disposable.
Yeah, yeah.
Next up, a little dated look here. Team Flanders Balois. They've been around for a long time, and they're a very Belgian team, mostly Belgian riders with a Belgian bike brand, none other than Eddie Merckx. I think they're on the Eddie Merckx 525, which is named after his. He had 525 victories. But yeah, thoughts on this guy?
I feel like we should call this team and offer up our design,
Yeah,
we'd offer up some design notes. This is one of the worst kits I've seen on a pro rider, period. This feels like something you would buy if you were riding the MS 150.
yeah.
Like, it feels like the team, like this was like somebody in a basement that or I know, who designed a kit and was like, check this out. I think it's terrible. The blue and yellow and the white just does not work for me.
I like the colors because I guess that's like a Flanders thing. I it's almost there. There's some design cues that just kind of bug me about it. If it were, I almost wish it was more color block than it
Yep.
is. Just
I
some
don't
of the
It's not the color. I think it's just how the whole thing got put together. This looks like 1984 just came right back up into the space
that's
here.
kind of what I like about it. Yeah,
Yeah. And I will say I love Eddie Merckx. Like, it's hard not to like the cannibal, and like he's, one of the greatest cyclists who's ever drawn breath. But I think this looks like an endurance frame to me.
it does.
Like,
I think it might be.
I'm stunned that, like, pro riders like, the stem should be like this is what it feels like. It should be like a 17% ankle down, but this does not look like a bike that you would see in the pro peloton. It doesn't look it's fast.
They've actually been doing okay this year. They've got a couple wins. And honestly, there could be another more racy version that I glossed over. But it looks like, from what I can find with like team photos and stuff, I think this is the bike. It does look very endurancey, and it's starting to look a little dated because this was a super common carbon frame design in the 2010s, and now most people have moved away from it. And then it's a little ho hum, um, and it looks like a bike you settle for, like, not the one you're super proud to have. It's like, yeah, well, I know the name, and it was on sale at the bike shop. It was last year's model with 105, so I got a good deal. So yeah, it's not super exciting, but seems to be getting the job done. So
Yeah. So their website, there's actually a couple of other ones. The Corsa, which is a steel bike, and then they got another one. Oh my god, what's it called? The Mendris. Yeah, they're both like they're not great.
yeah, nothing on the website is really jumping out at me. So I think it's probably time for a refresh
Yep.
for Eddie. But yeah, the Mendrisio looks that is the all around endurance bike. I like the color scheme on it better.
Yeah. Uh-huh. The one bike they have like in the stock image on the website looks like a different bike. It's got a flat top tube. They should be
It
riding
does.
that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't know what that is, but it looked
yeah.
good.
Maybe there's a special team bike nobody can buy.
Yeah,
I would
maybe.
actually respect that.
I would too, yeah, huh? It's like back in the day, 'cause all this stuff was custom for the pros. Because let's be honest, the vast majority of us do not need what the pros are riding.
No, we don't. No, not at all.
No, it's just a waste of energy.
Yeah. Next up, Team Novo Nordisk. This is another American team. They've been around for quite a while. They are Novo Nordisk does the insulin monitor and the pump. They do the pump for diabetics.
And aren't most of their riders still diabetic?
I don't know about that.
Oh, okay. For a while they
Yeah.
were.
There was at one time there was at least a faction of the team
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah, yeah.
And we had several riders on Main Street Velo back in the day who used this pump. And so
Yeah.
I think one of them actually reached out to Novo Nordisk and was like, "Hey, we're this Cat
Yeah.
5 team in Kentucky. We got 3 guys."
Uh-huh.
They didn't say anything back.
No.
These guys are riding Argon 18, and this is a brand I kinda wrote off years ago, but then I saw this bike and I'm really impressed with it, at least the pictures of it I
Yeah.
find impressive. This the Nitrogen Pro.
The nitrogen, yeah. I like this team. We were down in Georgia at a training camp. We used to go down every year for about, I don't know, like 8 or 9 years with Team Hungry. And we ran into them a couple times down there. They'd be down same week, and you just see this white, blue blur of a line rip or up or down the hill. Those dudes were fast.
Yeah.
But Argon 18, like it's been a bike that like I've always had some years I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. I've not spent a ton of time seeing. You don't see a lot of them out, which I always again love. I do like the rear junction on the seat stay, how low and it looks aero. If I'm not mistaken, those bottle cages are proprietary, which again, like of all the things you could do, just let me buy the ones I want. You know?
I don't think you have to use a proprietary bottle,
Okay.
and I think you can swap out to different cages, but these are meant to be more aero, work as part of the system. My only experience with something like this is on the Sika Spear, which they send their special bottle cages with the frame, which is nice, but they're terrible bottle cages. Some of the worst. Well, they're too tight. It's really hard to get bottles out. So I don't know. Maybe these are better. I, I I don't mind it as long as I know that I can swap it to a regular bottle or a
Yeah.
regular bottle cage. So
Um, I don't love the green and blue. I like the green and blue in the frame. I just wish their kits had gone a different direction.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, the kits are a little too Aquaman-y, but yeah, I really like this frame design. Like visually, it's very. I don't know if it's pulling it off aerodynamically. I don't really care,
well,
but
the
it's
fork's got a nice broad stance fork.
yeah,
At it in more detail. Yeah, I mean, it's got a cool look to it.
yeah.
I'd want to again. I could spend a day on demo this one and feel really took about it.
I think all these bike companies should allow that to happen. Once
Yeah,
they see this, they're going to be calling. Yeah,
give us a day.
come test.
Your
We're gonna
thoughts.
send you the bike. Yeah,
A better kit for us. Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk. You know,
yeah.
I can't design it myself, but I can stand over your shoulder and say, click on that, click on that, click on
There
that.
you go.
All about that.
So next up is my favorite team name, Team Pulte Visit Malta. As far as marketing goes, it
Yeah.
works for me. It's
Just
had its effect. I don't know what Pulte is, but I do want to visit Malta.
yeah,
And they're on Orem. Now, Orem bikes are the bikes. It's the bike company owned by Ivan Basso and Alberto Contador, two former Grand Tour winners. And I think they both got done for some doping infraction, but they were minor.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
They're still at it making these bikes.
weren't they both world champions as well?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to look that up.
Yeah. But no, I don't love their jersey. Do love the name.
It's
Um,
very Italian. Yeah.
everybody to visit Malta, This bike is clean looking. I actually really this is not an aero bike. This is a classically designed all arounder. And I can get a little bit into this one.
It's got a real clean look. I'm getting the Apple Store IKEA vibes again on this one.
Totally.
What I
Completely.
don't like about it, and this is a weird thing, but I feel like when something works in the bike industry, everybody does it within years. And so I think about like camtail technology, which this shouldn't be called a technology, but some company back in 2012 said, hey, a teardrop shape is not that arrow, but a camtail, like squared edge on the backside, is more arrow. Then everybody did it. What I've noticed in the last like 5, 6 years of frame design is the dropped chainstays, which are supposedly more aero and increased comfort because it allows the seat tube to flex. So either Basso and Contador just really like the look because it's classic, having the taller seat stays, or it's an old frame design that they're still running because it's cheap.
Well, as a newish bike company, their R&D might be on the lower side. They're probably speccing these by hand
Yeah.
and some frame mold and in one of the 3 big factories. I get it. I get it. It's just for me, it just kind of harkens to a little bit more classic, which, if you're gonna ride, if you're gonna own a bike for a while and try to get a few years out of it and not feel like it's chasing whatever fad, both those dudes are fast enough. You can put the chain state wherever you want.
Yeah.
They're fine, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it probably rides great. It's an aesthetic thing.
They actually have like a whole aero thing about this bike on their website. Shows you the airflow over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it might be a little bit better than what we are
Yeah.
giving it
Yeah.
for.
Although everybody's got those like, I don't know, the airflow designs. And yeah, I don't know, maybe it is, but again, I need to ride it. I
Yep.
need to get some time on this thing. Next up, we have a French team, Team Total Energies. They are riding Cube. Cube last year was under Intermarché Wanty. That team kind of merged and dispersed, and Cube is no longer in the World Tour, but here they are under Total Energies with the Lightning Arrow.
Yeah. Um, I don't dislike this bike. It's kind of feels like every sort of aero bike right now. But yeah, I think it's a good looking bike. I don't love the rear junction, how it sort of like forms around I feel like that was like a thing several years ago where the back triangle gets formed around the tire. Feels like a little bit too much in this particular application, but
Yeah.
it's a good looking bike overall.
I feel like its proportions are at odds with it.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't, and it could be the way this paint job is exaggerating that seat tube and top tube junction.
I just pulled up just a blue version of it. It looks terrible.
It
Like
still looks terrible.
that
Okay.
junction does not look good.
Yeah,
What's was it the Felt Breed that was the gravel bike that just came out like recently, the newest one, and it has this incredibly complicated not big rear triangle, and then it's got a tiny little seat post. The junction looks terrible.
yeah,
And they should have gone full arrow seat post to kind of match the volume of the rear triangle, but
yeah,
so
yeah. I
yeah.
think you still have to pay attention to proportions. Yeah, that is a really ugly
Yeah.
junction.
Yep.
It does not look good.
It looks
This is the first one on a bike where I'm like, that's unattractive design.
yeah.
That's Cybertruckian is what that is.
When you look at it and you scroll down to the actual up close detail of pictures, when you look at it in isolation, you're like, "Oh, that's not so bad." And then you zoom out and you're like, "That's just wrong." Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's proportions in relation to the whole that sort of loses me here.
Yes. It is the anti-gestalt
Yeah,
design. Yeah, it doesn't help make the whole. Yeah, and the spindly seat stays. I'm sure all the design features made sense on paper, but, they just don't look good in
I do like
executions.
I do like their jersey. You know,
Yeah,
I think
I do like the colors.
yeah,
Yeah, but, next up, we have maybe one of our own Swiss teams. It's Tudor, and they're extremely Swiss. So Tudor is a Swiss watch brand, Swiss team on a Swiss bike company, BMC, with a Swiss
kid
director sportif,
and
Fabian
yeah,
Hansel.
yeah, yeah. Is Boss a Swiss company
Boss.
like the clothing company? I don't know.
Well, this is, I don't know where the Boss is coming from because Assos is the kit manufacturer.
Yeah, yeah. I think Boss like the clothing company
Oh, yeah.
is one of their sponsors, so I don't know where they're based out of, but it's a lot of Swiss. Love
Mhm.
Tudor watch. I think this is actually a clean kit, and I have tried so hard, Tom, just mean this with my whole heart to like BMC. I think the last time I got excited about a BMC was the one we referenced earlier when Floyd Landis was peddling that thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and that Phonak team bike was just I love the rear carbon skeletal sort
That
of
was
looking bits of that, but this one just it bores me a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue to talk about that BMC, the team machine under Team Phonak because of the I have a handful of early 2000s bikes that I only know through the racing I watched at the time that I really want.
Yeah,
That would probably, if I were a bike collector, I'd go after them. This is one of them,
yeah,
and it's got to
100%.
be in that exact colorway, the yellow, green, and white. Yeah, that's a bike that I just yeah would love to see. I'm looking at it right now. I'm way more interested in it than whatever BMC's doing now because I find it kind of boring. They're still pretty expensive. They are doing the big wide fork legs. I think they were the first, which is again supposedly more aero. And it's a very much you see that on the track a lot. But yeah, the new one doesn't do anything for me. The kit I love. I think it's the most classic looking kit on this whole list. I'd wear it to a black tie party.
Yeah, yeah, that's nice.
It's really well
Is that
done.
your version of the tuxedo shirt?
That's my bicycle tuxedo right there.
Uh-huh.
When I'm going to the formal bicycle group ride, that's what I'm gonna wear. So last up, and I think before I made the mistake of saying that this was a new Chinese brand, it's not. So the team is Unibet Rose Rockets. Rose is the bike brand. Last year they were Unibet Titama Rockets, but Rose is I guess kicked up some more money. And Rose is a German bike brand. They're just one of the I guess they're also doing the Canyon thing. Maybe they're in stores. I don't know. But it's hard to find out much about these bikes online. Their website's not great, but it does look like what'd I say? Yeah, like it looks like 7,500 to 9K. You can get a bike that's somewhat kitted out like the team bikes. And they did just do a new aero bike called the Shave.
Okay. I do like this bike. It is a little bit sort of like simply stated, but I like the cleanness of this. I don't know a ton about Rose bikes. I do know they had a rider, a female rider who won Unbound last year.
Yep.
And so, yeah, like she was like crushed it on that Rose. And I can't think of her name right off.
Mm.
It was 2025 Unbound. But yeah, I think it's a good looking bike. I think it's clean. I think it's, I think they're a brand who's working hard to get noticed. And I think they've got some great riders coming
Yeah.
through that.
Unibet, the team looks awesome. The team kits, it's like antithetical to what Tudor is doing, but I love it. It's like this funhouse.
It's a little, yeah, it's a little, uh, wild, you know?
Yeah. But I feel like we need that in the pro peloton. Yeah, well, and I think that Rose needs to do a team bike version with that team kit because their paint jobs are all a little on the boring minimalist
Yeah.
side.
And I would like to just see the blue and pink zigzags on the
Yeah.
fork. That's
Oh, yeah.
it.
That would
Put
be
it on
awesome.
the fork.
Yeah. And then purple and pink everywhere else.
No, I think just white everywhere else. I think that's
Well, yeah,
I'll
maybe.
take that out would be pretty hot.
Yeah.
So,
We need to
or
get
even
him
like
to
a
do a
light blue everywhere else or like maybe the dark blue, but
there, yeah.
yeah.
And that brings us to the end of the Pro Tour list. I don't know. We go back through and we're doing our top three, and then what would you buy with a theoretical pile of cash that you didn't have to put towards anything that made more sense? You want to start, or what's your or rundown of the top three and any honorable mentions, and then what would you buy? So kick it off with a third place.
Yeah, so I think from a third place perspective, I'm gonna have to go with the BH. This nostalgia is tugging on me hard here, and yeah, I'm digging it. There, I
It's
said it.
yeah, the brand loyalty.
Yeah, it is. Love it.
Yeah,
You want to do like me share third, you share third, and then we work
yeah,
our way
yeah.
together, kind of stair step it.
Let's go back and forth. Yeah, I think my third is going to be the Argon 18. Just
Okay.
really impressed with the look of the bike. I have no
Yeah.
idea how it rides, but I think they did a good job on the design.
You're not gonna like my second choice here. I'm gonna have to go with the Basso Contador collab.
Oh, the Orem. Yeah.
I feel like it's a bike. Looks like I want to ride it.
Yeah.
Great time out there all day long, and I'd want to look at it at the end of the day, and I'd be like, yeah, this is solid. Like not too flashy, not too crazy, solid. So
It's not doing it for me.
yeah,
For me, number two is going to be the Factor One, only because they did something different.
yeah,
Like that difference in frame design. It's It's eye-catching. I really want to experience it, but not enough to own it. That's yeah.
So are this is our number 1 gonna be the one we wanna own or
No, it can be different. Yeah.
okay. Okay.
This is just ranking.
Okay. So I think for my number 1 choice here, I'm gonna have to go with the Factor one as well, but it's not the one I wanna own, but it's the one I'm most curious about right now. Like
Gotcha.
I like to spend a week on it. Maybe actually even down in Miami, flat, fast, hammery rides,
Yeah.
nice sunset, a little bit of tailwind. I could really get into that. But the bike that I wanna own from all of these Pro Tour bikes is actually, I would have to say the Ostro, the Factor
Yeah.
Ostro.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
it's light, it climbs well.
You
This is
have that though, don't you?
no, no, I have the O2.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, I would probably swap out my O2 for the Ostro, maybe the newest one. Yeah.
There's probably somebody, maybe if anybody ever actually watches this, if you're out there and you wanna swap your Ostro for an O2 or vice versa,
Yeah, yeah, call
got a
me.
guy.
Yeah.
56 centimeter,
Yep,
super common frame size.
yep.
For me, Quick Pro's number 1. I like a winner of the race to the bottom, and when it comes to price point, they've done it in the Pro
Yeah,
Peloton. I think it's a good looking frame, and I think we're kind of on the way to some disruption from Chinese brands getting in and shaking things up, and this is kind of part of it, is that they're still kind of a value option, but they're under a team that's, they're gonna get some wins this year. And so that's really what I like about it. And I think it's aesthetically a good looking bike too, aside from the naming choices. And
yeah,
then as far as own, it's a tough one. It's probably the Quick Pro, although since this is theoretical money, I think I might go with the Look or Pinarello just because I do like the legacy brands. And at the end of the day, I don't think it's gonna matter, you know, any of these bikes is gonna be great to ride, so I think I'd take that look in the white with Mondrian, so not the
yeah.
team colors, but yeah,
The look was a hard that was probably my second choice.
yeah,
Like to spend some time, getting to know that bike, buying a dinner,
yep, take it out,
a
show it
bottle
to
of
town,
wine. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
should be a good time. So, yeah,
yeah.
it's a good list, it's a good list. So,
Or I'd get the look, immediately sell it, buy a Quick Pro, and
buy
use
2
the
quick
rest of the
pros.
money to go
Uh,
visit Malta. No,
oh,
I'm
there
gonna
we go. You know
mm,
what? I don't hate that, that plan you've got.
I figure if I got retail out of this, I think I could do a trip to Malta for 10
I think
grand.
probably good, yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah. Alright, well, that wraps it up,
Yeah.
so, cool.
Well, thanks, man.